America's police force has a long history of using brute force against citizens. Many Americans are harmed or even die at the hands of police, and there may be many reasons why this is. They aren't properly trained, and the training they receive isn't universal. They are overworked in taking on responsibilities that could be handled elsewhere, and they are not held accountable for their actions. I propose that we need to increase training that is universal across America. We need to allocate funding from the police and back into the community, and we need to hold police accountable for their actions. How do we achieve this change? Reach out to your representatives, vote, and protest for change. Reaching out to your government is one way to achieve change. Many government officials are already trying to pass legislation to hold our police accountable. Lauren Fox's article talks about such bills. The legislation includes a ban on chokeholds as well as the creation of a National Police Misconduct Registry to prevent problem officers from changing jurisdictions to avoid accountability. But this bill is being met with resistance. In Fox's article, the legislation is the most expansive effort in recent years to crack down at a federal level on policing practices across the US, but it is expected to face strong resistance from Republicans, police unions, and local officials who don't want Washington intervening with their policymaking. We have to call, write, email those representatives. Let them know that this is the change that we want. Our words matter, and we must be heard by the people who are supposed to be our voices. Voting is a very important part of our democracy. It's one way that we make the government listen to us. Many states and cities are trying to pass policies to put funding from police departments back into the community. Nicole Ellis's article talks about such policies. Seattle Councilwoman Teresa Mosqueda wants to invest that money in affordable housing, childcare, food security, and schools for marginalized Black and Brown communities. But these policies require citizens to go out and vote during elections for these policies. We have a responsibility to be educated in what is on the ballots and vote for them. Protesting for change is one of the most effective ways to communicate when all else fails. Protests are one of the oldest traditions in America's history. The Boston Tea Party was a protest that helped shape what this country is today. Protests across the country for defunding the police have encouraged our government to enact change. Fox's article states, the legislative effort comes as protests against police brutality and in support of racial justice have sprouted up across the country in both big cities and in rural communities. The bill also incentivizes states and localities to mandate racial bias training and teach officers about their duty to intervene. The change many are demanding is being addressed by legislatures because of the protests across the country. Changing in policing that needs to be enacted are already in place in many countries across the globe. It is possible for America to have better systems in place for the safety of its citizens. But to get those changes, we must be loud. We must reach out to our representatives, call, write, email them, let them know that we want change. Vote. Vote for the policies that are on our ballots. Make sure you are educated in what is on them. And we must protest loudly for change. To make change reality, we have to demand change. Thank you for listening.